One summer afternoon in the quiet suburban town of Brookfield, a teenager named Ethan found himself in an awkward yet unforgettable situation. Ethan was 17, a thoughtful and sometimes shy boy who often drifted into his own imagination. He loved sketching, writing short stories, and spending hours in his room building dreams about the kind of future he wanted. But one day, while lost in his own world, he ended up in a moment that would change how he saw honesty, responsibility, and family trust forever. It started on a Saturday morning. Ethan's father was away for work, and his mom, Caroline, was busy in the kitchen preparing brunch. Ethan, instead of helping, had slipped away into his room, where he sprawled across his bed with headphones on. He had his notebook open, doodling characters and half-writing sentences, but his mind kept wandering. The music filled his ears, and he began imagining himself as the hero in an adventurous world, a place where he could escape responsibilities and live without judgment. As he got carried away in his daydreams, he didn't notice how loud the music was. He also didn't hear the knock on the door when his mom came up to call him for brunch. With no answer, Caroline opened the door and stepped inside. What she saw wasn't inappropriate at all, but it was embarrassing enough for Ethan. He was so deep into acting out parts of his story, gesturing with his hands, mouthing dramatic lines to himself, that it looked unusual. He didn't realize she was standing there until she said his name firmly. "Ethan," Caroline exclaimed, trying to stifle a laugh. "What in the world are you doing?" Ethan froze, the color rushing to his cheeks. He yanked his headphones off and quickly closed the notebook. "Mom, I was just, nothing." Caroline tilted her head, her voice softening. "Daydreaming again, weren't you?" He tried to deny it, but his expression gave him away. She stepped closer, picking up the notebook from the bed. As she flipped through the pages, her eyes widened not because of anything bad, but because of how detailed his sketches and writings were. The characters, the maps, the storylines. Ethan had built an entire fictional universe. "Ethan, these are amazing," she said, her tone changing from amused to proud. Ethan nervously ran a hand through his hair. "You're not mad?" "Mad? No, honey," Caroline replied with a smile. "But you shouldn't hide this. You have talent. You need to share it instead of shutting yourself away." For the first time, Ethan felt seen. He admitted to her that he was scared people would think he was weird, especially his friends. He worried that his passion for creating stories made him different. Caroline sat down beside him, gently explaining that being different wasn't something to fear. In fact, it was a gift. The rest of the day, instead of being scolded for skipping chores, Ethan was encouraged to read some of his work aloud. Caroline listened patiently, asking questions about his characters and plots. She helped him brainstorm ways to improve the story and even suggested entering a local writing contest. That moment of being caught turned into a turning point in their relationship. Over the next few weeks, Ethan started opening up more. He shared his work not only with his mom but eventually with his English teacher, who was equally impressed. Slowly, his confidence grew. He learned that being honest about his passions made him stronger and more authentic. The caught in the act memory became a running joke in the household. Every time Ethan zoned out too long, his mom would tease him with, "Oh, are you off saving the world again?" And instead of feeling embarrassed, Ethan would laugh. By the time the local writing contest came, Ethan submitted his piece nervously. Caroline sat in the audience, cheering him on. When he won second place, the applause he received felt like a validation not just of his writing but of the courage it took to share it. Years later, Ethan would look back on that summer day as the moment his whole creative journey began. What could have been just an embarrassing afternoon of being caught in his own world became the spark that lit up his path to self-discovery. In the end, he realized being himself, quirks and all, was the bravest story he could ever tell.